All right, good morning, everybody. I'm here with Shane Carter, the CEO of Hampshire Capital. I am the VP of Investor Relations and Operations. And today we're going to talk about forecasting on your property. So we're talking about asset management. We're in the asset management series right now. And on that, we want to talk about, how to manage right now. So, today's definitely turbulent waters, but we can manage that. And the better we manage it, the better our assets perform. So with that, we can take a Q4. So you're going to look at your T12 and you're going to look at your current month and you want to look at, expenses. Where are they trending? Are they trending up? Are they trending down? As Shane can speak on here in a few minutes about insurance and maybe some ways to catch that. But also around this time, your property management company will start to send you the forecast for 2024. So the next year. So they can kind of get a snapshot of a renewal where they see their payroll creeping up because sometimes everybody gets a raise, at the beginning of the year. So that would be an expense creep up in your T12 because everybody got a raise. So payroll is automatically most likely going to creep up a little bit. So that's what we want to talk about today is, how to manage that and things to look at that can help you manage your asset well. And as far as expenses and also income. So Shane, I know you can speak personally on the insurance side of things and maybe a few ways that can help some other fellow real estate investors out or some people that want to get in the space.
Yeah, absolutely, Eddie. And so as you mentioned, sort of big picture, why are we talking about this today? Because we're in Q4 and in Q4, we're always looking at what creating with our property management firms, what are going to be our next year's budgets from an income and expense standpoint. So we're focused on the income on the expense side here today. And one of the biggest ones that has been extremely variable over the last 12 months is the insurance line item. We had insurance almost double on a lot of our properties, and we've been sort of fighting to get that down ever since then. And it kind of hit everybody by surprise here earlier this year.
Absolutely.
When that happened. So, what I've been doing, sort of leading the charge internally at the company, is really reaching out to a number of different brokerage firms, understanding what those risk layers are, understanding what those group plans are, understanding where the property profile and what some of the best ways we can position that group and manage the different layers of risk at each property so that we can really achieve the best cost for the best coverage at every property. You don't want to just undercover your property from a insurance liability or property or GL level, but you do want to manage the cost of it. And right. So every broker has different relationships. There's different carriers and there's different group plans. And you really have to drill into that. You have to ask a lot of second and third level questions and really try to understand what the best options are for that particular property. Yeah. And so we've done that on one of our Houston assets already, where we lowered the insurance expense by 40%.
That's huge.
It's huge.
That's huge. Yeah.
Right. And so, those are really real world examples in one of the worst markets to try to improve your insurance costs on. Right. We're obviously trying to do the same things in Dallas and everywhere else, but those sort of, Houston, Florida, and any of those sort of Gulf Coast communities, they're just tough to insure right now, but Absolutely. You have to be proactive and drill into it.
Yeah, I know the other day I was on Facebook on our Multifamily Network, our Facebook page there, and someone posted it was an insurance agent or it was a contractor that does insurance quotes. And there was a picture of like baseball-sized softball. And I went, oh, like the hail was that big. I was like, their winter insurance policy. Like we were holding our breath that we weren't going to have any big claims. And that was it. So, the renewals for next year, they're going to put that one on there because some roofs got beat up and siding and stuff like that. Yeah. So not only that, it's so important to budget and to manage because one of the two things that both of us have said, and it's a true statement here. It's two statements that are so true. And one is how we do everything, or how we do anything is how we do everything. So by looking really closely at everything and just managing that and being ahead of the game is so true. It's such a good practice to do in your company. And then the other thing is bad news doesn't age well. And, if we can have a kind of a vision looking out that we got some bad news coming, let's get in front of it, because it's not going to be very good. Let's just tackle it right now. Let's deliver the message and say, hey, this is what we actually look like for expenses, because Q4 actual expenses compared to our pro forma is X. And those are real. Like, those are real expenses, whether you like those expenses or not. Those are the ones that got delivered to you on your Excel sheet.
Yep, that's exactly right, man. And taxes is another one, and we work with tax consultants, and especially in all of our Texas assets, we litigate, we go after and fight the county on the appraisal values. But we did just get a bit of good news that the millage rate went down for a lot of our Texas properties. So we're excited about that. That's sort of better than projected. So we got one in the win column for that one. But look, let's jump into the rest. I mean, taxes, insurance, those are big ones, and you can push and you can really get aggressive there. But let's go through the rest of the controllable expenses and really understand, line by line, what can folks do. And to me, I think one of the biggest one is going to be your water sewer bill.
So
you can't really change the millage rate on that, but you can affect your consumption.
Yeah, absolutely. For instance, Houston, we can charge back 90% of the gas bill. So you have to understand that, like, where's the gas bill trending and what are you able to charge? Because that's a big deal. Like in your RUBS program, how much can you charge back for utilities? And just like we've engaged with a company to help us with our trash, how many times we haul and things like this, because everything counts. Like if they're hauling 3 or 4 times a week and they only need to do it twice, there's a cost savings there. But you need to have somebody there to help manage that.
Not only that, but you have to proactively reach out to other vendors, and you have to get new quotes on things. They want your business. They don't have your business right now. And then you can sort of use that to negotiate with your existing vendors if you're in contract. If you're not in contract, you can say, hey, look, folks, if you're not going to match this or give us the service we want and give us these prices, we're going to have to go elsewhere. These are real things you have to do. You have to be actively managing your business that way on every single line item for contract services.
You do.
Cable, internet, Wi-Fi, every single line item, you need to get aggressive on it and see landscaping, right? Everything needs to be looked at very, very closely. And so I think, payroll, if we want to circle back to that real quick, we've said it 100 times, Eddie, we'll continue to say it. This is a people business and you got to take care of your people. And so, we find ourselves in this precarious position of having payroll creep, having that expense get higher and higher and higher. Certainly not what we budgeted for 2 years ago. But we're in a very unique job market and a unique economic condition that and when you have good people, you don't want to let them go. You want to hold on to them. They get the property. They understand the vibe, the culture at every property is super important. And if they fit that, you really want to retain those good people.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've even touched on contractors too. You can hire a cheaper contractor, but if you're on a time clock and you know that contractor is just not going to show up for 2 or 3 weeks and he's told you every week he's going to show up, there's probably a contractor out there you could probably pay a little bit more that has a better business bureau rating, and that guy cares. And if he didn't show up, it's because he called you and said, hey man, my kid is sick and we can't make it there today, or some of my team is out. Like, they're going to call you up. So, you have to pay, not only internal staff, you also have to, manage the side of contractors too.
Yeah.
Just because that contractor's cheaper, he fixed the air conditioner, but 2 days later it broke again, that tenant's not happy. you know, if we could have paid, a couple $100 more and we got the air conditioning fixed the same day and it lasted months, that tenant's happy.
That's right.
You have to, those are things you got to manage.
Yeah, and hopefully you're working with really, really strong property management firms like we do that have these sort of global vendor relationships that you can benefit from, so that your turnover expense, for example, we have negotiated resurfacing pricing and paint, repainting, and flooring pricing that most people just can't believe how good it is. And frankly, all we're doing is we're leveraging some amazing relationships that our very very important partners in our property management side have gotten as global vendor relations. And so if you don't have those, you have to get them, and you have to partner with the right people and negotiate at the right level, because we're talking about thousands and thousands of units that we're negotiating on to contract services for, and that's really where you get a lot of savings.
Yeah, 200%. And just real quickly, if Shane just touched on having a good property management company, that is so important. That is your first line of defense when it comes to managing a property. And if your property management company has not already reached out to you about your 2024 budgeting, then I would start asking some questions, because they need to be giving you, or you need to be asking them or reminding them about budgeting for next year, because this is not a haphazardly react when it happens. You need to be proactive in this, and your property management company can help you be proactive in this and start planning that out. There's probably certain services that you bought the property that had subscriptions, and say that is on a 1-year subscription, and maybe that's going to expire in the first quarter of 2024. So that's something that can be a reduction, or we can sign up for a cheaper service. So that is, again, there's so many things. Like when you look at a T12, it won't even fit on the screen, right? So you want to really go through that with a good lens and understand that. And if you don't understand a line item on that, then ask your property management company, hey, what is this for? And why is this creeping up? I was under the impression this was a, Comcast cable, and it was just a $45 a month. And, this is now up to $80 a month. What's going on here? Can we cancel this? You just have to manage it. You have to be proactive.
You have to. Yep. Especially in this new era of multifamily investing, which is, to me, sort of like the old era of getting back to the basics and really managing the business tightly, and understanding all of your expense line items and managing them as tightly as you can in this environment. That's what wins the game right now. And protecting your occupancy, protecting your income side, of course, but really managing expenses. And so, budgeting and forecasting for next year should be an open dialogue too with your property management firm. You want their input. You want to give them your input, and don't just accept whatever they give you. You should already have a sense of what you think things should be. And if there's any discrepancies when you get that with your property management firm, it should be an open and honest dialogue where, we're adjusting things together to create a budget that we're both pleased with.
Absolutely. Perfectly said, Shane. So for our listeners out there, please like and subscribe the channels. It helps us grow, and, share it with others. We do this not only to just do it, to just talk to each other. We talk to each other a lot, but we do this to help others out in the space. And so if there's something that you've picked up on, something you want us to go more in depth on, please reach out, comment in the little comment box there, and give us some feedback. Tell us about how we're doing here and what you would like to see more of. And, hit the little notification bell so you can stay tuned every time we got a new YouTube video. They do come out once a week. So thank you guys so much. Such a pleasure.
See you on the next one.